Hello and welcome to my small little library. Today's video is the last video of the year, so I wanted to go out with like my favorite books and my least favorite books I've read this year. They aren't necessarily from this year, there are a lot of older books in there, but they are the ones I've read this year. And I hope the lighting works. It is quite late in the evening already. Normally I film with daylight, but yeah, it didn't work out today, and because it is like the 26th of December, so technically still a holiday in Germany. So I do hope you had some really nice holidays and a really nice Christmas if you celebrate Christmas. And yeah, but I thought I'd start with the worst books of the year for me. I've chosen 5 bad books, 5 fantastic books, you know. But yeah, I decided to start with the worst books just to like start with the bad part and end on the really good part, to bring the year to a close and yeah, finish my first year on YouTube. I'm not a year on YouTube now, but yeah, it's the first year I've done YouTube, so that is the last video of it. Let's start with the 5 worst books I've read this year, and we're starting with The Hunting Season. I've talked about this one, I think, in my vlogs and in like a verse, yeah, in my recap of the month I've read it in. Yeah, it has something to do with like inbred people who live in these hills that are really secluded, and they start killing people. And our main character is an anthropologist who wants to like pretty much yeah, get to know more about them, and it's a really bad book. Yeah, some things in here are just really, yeah, they didn't go over well with me, and it was a really hard chore to read through it, and at some points I just wanted to throw it in a corner. And yeah, wouldn't recommend it. It's by John Coyne, forgot to say that, but yeah, wouldn't recommend it. Wouldn't buy it again, and I wouldn't buy anything else from this author, to be honest. Then the second one is also an older horror book, which is Ghost House by Claire McNally, which is it's a haunted house story, but there's really nothing happening. There's not a lot of actual horror in here, like it's really not that scary, and in the end everything gets a rational explanation except for that there are ghosts involved, but like these ghosts are pretty much there and the people accept that for some reason. Yeah, really, it's definitely the worst haunted house story I've ever read, and yeah, I wouldn't recommend reading it, so this one goes on the worst as well. Then I have one I haven't talked about yet on this channel, which is Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel, and I do think that this book is generally quite liked. For me personally, there isn't really much happening in this book, and I really dislike the characters. It is a post-apocalyptic book, and you have this traveling circus who travels through different travels like this road, and then you get like different perspectives and before and whilst the travel is there. And yeah, I really didn't like the characters. I thought there wasn't really much happening, and that what was happening was just really cliche. I sadly didn't enjoy reading it, which yeah, I was really sad about because it sounded really great, and I'm a sucker for post-apocalyptic stories, to be honest. But yeah, this one kind of fell through. It also has like a weird culty edition, and there's also a bit of like violence in there, but yeah, I think think if I hear like, oh, a traveling circus or like a traveling theater group, like making their way through like a post-apocalyptic world, I just would have expected more, to be honest. And so yeah. Also, like, it's not only the traveling circus, like you have the traveling circus perspective of a main character, and then you have a second main character, which is like a really big actor before the illness happens, which like pretty much kills a lot of people. And he also has something to do with like the cultish stuff later on. But it was really weird, and yeah, it just wasn't for me, to be honest. I don't know if I mentioned it, but these two both got 1 star from me. This was a 2-star book. Then we have one which I also didn't read or mention on this channel, I think, because I read it before I started doing YouTube, and that is Dan Brown's Inferno. This is the first Dan Brown novel I actively disliked. I'm still not through Origin. I really hate it. This also got 2 stars. I love over-the-top novels. Like, for example, I've read Buskill, which is like a horror story where wasps kill people. Totally over the top and really, really great. This one, it's just ridiculous. Yeah, our main characters are pretty much just like endangered the whole way through. I really hated the lost memory trope in here, because if he would even have gotten one memory back throughout the whole story, he just wouldn't have done it. It was really, really annoying. This book is way too big. There's way too much filler in here. And to be honest, the first ones in the series were just really action-packed and really interesting when it came to the story and the of all of like the mystery and stuff. But this one just sucked, to be honest. And I'm really, really mad about it still. And then the last book, and I have to put it in here just because how disappointed I was about it, and that is Babel. I've talked about it a lot on my channel, and yeah, I really didn't like it. I don't think historical fiction is for me. The fantasy in here for me was way too little. It was so unnecessary as to the point where I was like, why is it even in here? And yeah, for me, too many like footnotes that explain things that you obviously know. It was really boring. There isn't really much happening in here, and this was more historical fiction than anything else. And I, for one, am not the biggest fan of historical fiction. I would love to one day read like a historical fiction that I really, really love, but I haven't found that one yet. And yeah, this one also got 2 stars for me. I'm really sorry about it. I know that a lot of people like this book. It's by R.F. Kuang and her other books, but I haven't read anything else from her, and I'm reluctant to pick anything else up because of my experience with Babel. But it is a really pretty book, so it got that going for it. Yeah, that were my 5 worst books of 2022, and now we're coming to my 5 best books for 2022. And the first one is a series because all of these got 5 stars. Obviously all of the best books got 5 stars, but the whole series, and I want to include it complete because for me, just the way the character arc goes throughout the story, I really enjoyed. I talked about the series for a lot already this year on my channel, but it is the Hyperion series. I love it. I read it complete in like 3 months. I enjoyed the journey so incredibly much. I've now gotten my partner to buy it so he can read it as well. He doesn't enjoy physical books, he enjoys ebooks and audiobooks, which is why he bought it again. But yeah, I'm a really, really, really big fan. I think space operas and these really drawn out space books are really my thing. I like a lot of description in my sci-fi. And I like a lot of travel descriptions in my sci-fi, and these are full of travel descriptions. And I know a lot of people hate it, and I can totally understand it, but for me these were like, I just loved it. Also they're by Dan Simmons. So yeah, these count as one, just because I think the whole series should be included. If you start with the series, you should end it, because there are some things that are only explained like in the last book that come up in the first book. So if you don't like that, maybe also don't start it, but otherwise it is a really great series. The next book is one I finished really recently, and that is The Way of Kings Part 1. I should have read it sooner. I don't know why I didn't. I absolutely loved it. Caladan, I love him. He's a gem. I really loved him. The other characters I'm not convinced on totally, but yeah, Caladan is just, he's so great, and yeah, I really enjoyed reading it. I definitely need to start part 2, which I will do once the new year comes around. I will definitely start part 2 next month, and will make my way slowly through the series. And yeah, I'm so happy I finally started it, and I'm actually sad I didn't start it sooner, because now I have a lot of catch up to do, and these books are massive. The next one is a second sci-fi, which is Andy Weir's Hail Mary. I read this one and The Martian, loved the most to bits. His really scientific approach to sci-fi is really great, to be honest, because it makes for, well, it makes for a bit more realistic books. I do really like the outlandish, to be honest, but every once in a while I think it's really nice to see something that is not realistic, but like maybe more leaning into the realistic stuff, and he really does great with that. Also, I think these work well as audiobooks. I started getting into audiobooks this year, and so yeah, these ones also work really well there. Obviously a 5-star read. I have to pick up his third book, but my partner did say that he thought it was the weakest of his books. So at some point I will pick it up just to like complete my collection from him. But yeah, I think this one and The Martian are by far his best 2 books. Following that one, we have another fantasy book, and that is The Year of the Reaper, which was really a big surprise for me. I got it in a book box, didn't know anything about it, and this is also not really post-apocalyptic, but it's set after a plague, or like during / after plague, and that is really interesting. And yeah, our hero has to pretty much save the kingdom, and he has a lot of struggles on the way, and I really loved it. It's pretty much Middle Ages with a plague, but also like a fantasy setting. Like it isn't like our Middle Ages, you know? So yeah, I really enjoyed this one, and as I didn't know about it before getting it in a book box, that was kind of like my most surprising best book of the year, just because I just didn't know it existed. You know, the rest of the books I kind of had my eyes on for a while. This one was a surprise. And then the last one, because let's all be honest, Stephen King would be on here. We all probably knew that. If you watch my videos, I'm making my way through all of his books, slowly but surely, and this is a book I was too afraid to read it when I was like 12, and now I read it and I'm absolutely in love with it, and that is Pet Sematary. This is like, it is a horror book, but I think what it does best is the family dynamics of grief and suffering, and for that one I absolutely love it. Also kind of love the cover with the black cat. Yeah, it's by far my favorite Stephen King book I've read this year. I've read a few that have gotten 5 stars because I truly enjoy his writing, and I'm kind of trying to like always read his newest books that come out and then go through the older ones. But yeah, this is by far the favorite Stephen King novel I've read this year, and yeah, I was really surprised that it wasn't as scary as I remembered it being, but like the whole concept of dealing with grief, and what do you do if your children experience death for the first time, and then what do you do if you experience losing a child and stuff. It was, I don't know, it was really, really incredibly greatly done. And also like the dynamics in a family where you have like one parent who's really, really afraid of death because of trauma, and how do you handle it, how do you handle it in front of the kids and stuff. Really, really great when it comes to that. And so yeah, it definitely had to be on my favorite books for the year of 2022. And with that, we are already at the end of the video. Yeah, I had a really great reading year, I have to say. I've read nearly 140 books this year, which is like incredible. I probably won't ever get to that again, just because I had the whole of December off and had a lot of time to read. But yeah, I had a great reading year, and I also wanted to say thank you for everyone who watched my videos. Obviously I started 4 months ago, I think now, and it's pretty much just a way for me to share my reading, just because I really don't have a lot of people in my direct life here who I can talk to about these books, and I really needed an outlet. And so I'm really thankful for everyone who is listening to what I have to say. And yeah, at the moment I really love making these videos, and so yeah, thank you for watching. Leave a like if you want to, or maybe leave a comment about these books, or just how your reading year was, and maybe your favorites, and maybe the worst books you've read this year. And yeah, I hope you had a wonderful holiday season, and I hope you can go into the next year with good thoughts, and yeah, just like look forward to the next year. You know, in Germany we have a saying which you pretty much wish people einen guten Rutsch into the next year, which is, I don't know if you have it in America or England, but yeah, it would probably translate to have like a good slide into the next year. So I wish you that, and with that I will see you in the next video, which will be on the first vlog of the last week of the year. So yeah, bye bye!